Hi, my name is Dr. Oliver Gottman. I'm a strategic CFO with over 20 years of experience helping organizations navigate finance, corporate strategy, and business transformation. Throughout my career, I've worked with businesses of all sizes, from startups to established organizations, and I've seen how the ability to adapt is what separates those that thrive from those that struggle. Today, one of the biggest shifts we're facing is artificial intelligence. We're being replaced by machines. New technology is sweeping across every industry, and it's only a matter of time before ours is next. Our company, with all its faults, will fall into line and adopt the latest tools, bots, agents, whatever you want to call them. We are powerless to stop it. Pretty soon, we'll be redundant in our roles, in our professions, perhaps even as a species. Panic, anxiety, stress, what's the point of any of it? That is the thinking that needs to be debunked. It is hyperbole, and if we want to make any serious collaborative progress as a labour force, we have to reframe it. But this isn't only a job for those already in work or those entering it. Employers carry just as much of the responsibility and, as it turns out, just as much of the risk. Because here is what the panic misses. The research doesn't support the doomsday narrative the media is selling. And the people stirring the pot, along with those buying into it, may be the ones who should be most worried. Not because the machines are coming for them, but because fear is a terrible strategy. The ones who panic and freeze are precisely the ones who get left behind. Here's why. The threat is real, but it's a transition, not an extinction. Goldman Sachs research frames the AI-driven job threat as largely temporary, better understood as a transition into a more productive economy than as a permanent cull. It projects a 15% rise in global labor productivity, though only once AI is fully integrated. Up to 7% of jobs face automation. But, based on historical trends, that disruption washes out within around 2 years. Most importantly, history is consistent on one point. Technology creates more jobs than it destroys. Roughly 60% of the occupations we work in today didn't exist 80 years ago. The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025 tells the same story. It expects net job growth of 7% by 2030, with almost 86% of employers anticipating that new technology will transform how they operate. The catch is what comes with that transformation. 6 in every 10 workers will need reskilling. While the spotlight falls on AI and big data, the most sought after skills by 2030 are distinctly human, analytical thinking, and creativity. In other words, the same roughly 60% realignment of roles and skills is coming, one way or another. So, where does the real risk sit? Not in the technology, in the lack of preparation for it. ALM Corp found that around 3.9% of US workers sit squarely in the danger zone, high exposure to AI, low capacity to adapt to it. That combination, not AI itself, is what ends careers. The early evidence is already visible. Employment among 22 to 25-year-olds in AI-exposed roles has fallen by 16% over the past 3 years. Data entry roles carry a 95% automation risk, customer service 80%, retail cashiers 65%. Those jobs really will go to the machines. This is the answer to the question we opened with. The threat is not that AI will erase work, it's that it will redistribute it so the people most at risk aren't the ones the headlines warn about. They're the ones who read the headlines, panic, and then do nothing. What we're really facing is a pivotal juncture for the labour market, and it cuts two ways. On one side are young adults, graduates and non-graduates alike, entering a job market with skill sets the modern economy no longer needs, having passed through a third-level education system that hasn't adapted fast enough. The result isn't just a bottleneck and rising unemployment, it's a deeper erosion of confidence, development, innovation, and entrepreneurship as opportunities shrink under more systematic AI-supported decision-making. On the other side are employers who face a choice that will define them. Too many treat AI as a reason or an excuse to cut labor costs. But consider the alternative. Keeping the staff you have and reskilling them could lift output and sales by a comparable margin over the medium to longer term. This is where human capital investment becomes decisive. The choice is stark. You can lay off loyal staff and buy in ready-made talent, expensive, in high demand, and hard to hold on to, as anyone hiring top-tier AI developers right now will tell you. Or you can reward loyalty, invest in your team, up and reskill them, and immerse them gradually in the roles your AI strategy demands. The returns on the second path speak for themselves. Get the people right, or the strategy fails. How you handle this is as important as what you decide. A company that talks vaguely about AI and lets rumors fester will reap a negative reaction. It breeds a plague of anxiety around the very idea of AI, resentment towards leadership for the lack of clarity, and resistance to any change at all, with operational delays and bottlenecks close behind. An engaged, fully informed team brings the opposite: optimism, easier buy in, and a far smoother transition. Reskilling and training people internally keeps them on the journey with you, building their value as they go and staying relevant to both your organization and the wider industry. Few investments deliver a knock on effect like it. This isn't only the employer's job, each of us has to recognize that the ground is shifting, and none of us can afford to wait to be told what to do. You have to remain relevant. Be the person who can solve problems, handle difficult situations, and think clearly. Those who aren't proactive about their own development risk being left behind as their organizations evolve. No one can build your skills for you. But when you take the initiative, people notice, and they're far more likely to invest in your growth. Demonstrate genuine adaptability, and you show that you're ready to be reskilled for today's challenges and upskilled for tomorrow's leadership opportunities. Why? Because you stepped forward when change demanded it. Start now, and you'll already be ahead of the crowd. Success for business leaders comes down to one realization: AI is not the end of work, but another stage in its evolution. It will create new jobs, retire old ones, and reward those who lean in. Get it right, and you'll build a forward-thinking, people-first business that others want to work with and for. Get it wrong, and you'll manufacture exactly the uncertainty and chaos you feared. Serious staff turnover among the very people you most wanted to keep. Lost ground to competitors, and a slow drift into mediocrity. The machines aren't taking our jobs, but standing still just might.